We are here on December 27th in Florida. This is Alexandra Levy. I'm with the Atomic Heritage Foundation, and we're here today with Esther Stenstrom. My first question for you is to please say your name and to spell it.
My name is Esther L. Stenstrom, E-S-T-H-E-R, middle initial L, S-T-E-N-S-T-R-O-M.
Where and when were you born?
I was born in Crescent City, Florida, March 9, 1922.
What kind of an education did you receive growing up?
Growing up, and before Oak Ridge, a 12th grade education, and then mechanical drawing for 2 years.
How did you become involved with the Manhattan Project?
My husband Sten had been called into service, and they asked him there if he would consider going to Oak Ridge to work instead of in the service. And he said yes, and then they asked me would I be willing to go also, and I said yes, and that's how we became.
Can you tell me a little bit about your husband and how you met?
Yes, we met on my 16th birthday, and we're married 3 years later.
So, was he drafted? Was he a member? Was he in the military?
He
then?
was volunteered for service, and they asked him at that point, would he consider going to Oak Ridge instead?
What year was that?
1940. Actually, this was in 43.
Do you remember when the World War II broke out?
Do I remember it? Yes.
What do you remember Pearl Harbor or anything particular about any events during World War II, especially vividly?
Everybody was eager to get busy and get the war over with as soon as possible, whatever it took.
Why do you think your husband was asked to go to Oak Ridge? Did he have a college background?
He did not at that point. He was still getting credits, and he did not have a degree at that time.
What was he studying?
Engineering. And he later, of course, was, but at that point, no.
So what was your first job on the project?
My first job was mechanical drawing in the engineering department.
So what did that entail?
On the drawing board, they brought into us an idea of what they wanted developed. We drew it on the drawing board, and then it was developed in the machine shop and put into practice.
What kinds of things were they developing?
Mechanical.
Was it pipes? Was it?
No, it was not pipe. It was more like anything they brought in, but cones or whatever.
So where did you move to? When you moved to Oak Ridge, where were you coming from, and how did you get there?
We were coming from Florida. I don't remember how by car, I expect, because yes, we traveled there by car.
Do you remember first getting to Oak Ridge?
First getting to Oak Ridge, yes. He went ahead of me because there was no place to live in Oak Ridge. It was all clay. And as soon, our first place that we lived was in officers' barracks. And we would go through mud to the mess hall to get our meals, and then across town to our workplace, Y12.
So can you tell me more about working at Y12?
It was a very secretive place. No one knew what they were doing in Oak Ridge except what we were told to do, draw up the item and have it manufactured in next door in the manufacturing plant. No, very little was known about what we were doing in Oak Ridge.
Did you know what your husband was working on?
Same thing. We were in the same engineering department.
Was he in mechanical drawing as well?
Yes.
So did you work on projects together, or was it a very individual experience?
Each person had their own project, but we worked together in the same office, yes.
Do you remember any specific projects that you worked on?
No.
So did you, when you went to, can you talk about getting to Y-12 every day? Did you have to go through security?
Oh yes, very, very tight security. Also, we went to school while they were getting us secured, and that was mechanical drawing as well. And we finally got a 5 badge, which was the highest we could go anywhere on the area. We didn't know enough to ask anything, not really, but we could ask if we wanted to, because we had the highest clearance there was.
Did you go anywhere else, Y-12, or did you mostly stay in the mechanical drawing area?
We stayed in Y-12 all the time we were there.
So you didn't see any of the other factories in Oak Ridge, like the K-25 plant?
Could have, but we didn't know what to ask for.
Why did you, do you know why you ended up in mechanical drawing?
Because I had had experience in schooling and that.
Did you enjoy working in that department?
Oh yes, yes, very much. Very congenial office, but very little knowledge also.
What was your schedule like? What time, how many hours a day did you work?
Whenever we were asked to, but at least 45 or 50 a week.
Did you have weekends off?
Sometimes.
Did you know anyone who worked in outside of the mechanical drawing section?
No, it was always in mechanical drawing.
Did you make friends with anyone else outside of that department?
Outside of that department? No, you never had occasion to go outside of that department, except recreation that we would spend with each other on Fridays. That was about the only recreation we had. Joking about what we were doing in Oak Ridge, and they were hilarious, some of the things they came up with. And one gentleman at one of the parties said, "Well, I think we're splitting the atom." And so at that point, General Grove said there'll be no more jokes about what we're doing in Oak Ridge.
Did he issue a directive, an order stating that?
He made an order through the Oak Ridge Journal stating that, yes.
What else did people think was being done?
Hilarious jokes. It was all a joke at that time.
Did you have any idea what you were working
No,
on?
absolutely not.
Did it bother you that you didn't know what you were working on?
No,
Because it was for the war? Did you know it was
because
for the war?
it was war and we wanted to get the war over.
Did you have any family or friends who were serving in the military overseas?
Yes, I had a brother at that time serving in Germany, pilot.
Did you write letters to your family? Could you tell them where you were?
We did not write letters when we had occasion to write, but there was no need to write. It was very secretive.
What kind of training did they give you about the secrecy?
About what?
The secrecy.
We were impressed, I will say that. Very impressed about the secretive of the place.
Do you remember there being billboards around Oak Ridge telling people to be quiet about what they were working on?
Not only in Oak Ridge, but everywhere. It was top secret.
So did you know that there were other factories at Oak Ridge, or did you just think it was Y-12?
Oh, you're talking about Oak Ridge. We knew there were other areas, sure, but we had no occasion to go there to the other areas in Oak Ridge.
How did the secretive nature, how did the fact that there was so much secrecy affect your daily life?
We were restricted going in and out of the area. We had no stores initially on the area. There was one gas station in all of Oak Ridge. And there was no grocery stores, drugstores, or anything like that. So you waited in line for an hour or two to get your gas to go to work. And Knoxville was quite a few miles away, so you went there for your groceries when you really needed provisions.
How did you get around? Did you have a car?
Yes, we had our car.
So was it a pain to have to wait in line for gas like that?
I didn't do it, my husband did, but I'm sure it was.
What about the food rationing and the gas rationing? How did that impact your life?
You might wait an hour or so to get your gas, and then there might not be enough when you got there to but there was a way provided for us to get to work.
Did you eat at Y12? Was there a mess hall that you would eat at?
There was a mess hall approximately 2 blocks away that we went through mud to get our meals. At work, we would take a sandwich.
So were you able to eat fairly well at Oak Ridge, or were you not able to get many foods?
Everything was rationed, and so, but it was no hardship really. We didn't consider it a hardship because we wanted the war over.
Can you talk a little bit about the housing? Where did you and your husband live?
Initially, we lived in officers' barracks, and we were on the list for a house, and that was a prefab because they were putting them up pretty fast. And so we were initially, after waiting our turn, we were issued a house, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and we were glad to get that, and we called it our Taj Mahal when we got ours.
So it was a pretty nice house compared to what you could have lived in.
If I would compare it to today, no. Then we were very proud to get the house. Very happy to get it.
Did you say that you had a daughter when you were in Oak Ridge?
Mm-hmm. She was born before we left Oak Ridge, but she was born in Oak Ridge. And when General Groves told us there would be no more joking about what we were doing in Oak Ridge, he says we're making babies at the tune of 90 to 100 a month, and that's what we're doing in Oak Ridge. So that was enough said.
So what year was your daughter born?
1945.
Was the medical care that you received there pretty good?
For military, yes. For civilian, no.
Were you eligible for a larger house once you had a child, or not?
We had 2 bedrooms already, and that was enough.
Did you have a lawn or anything?
A lawn, we had a garden.
So did all the houses in your neighborhood sort of look alike?
Look alike. Ticky-tack. Mm-hmm. Yes. But we didn't think about that then.
Did you do anything to make your house look a little more unique?
As much as possible. Not all things were available during the war as they are now. And yes, as much as we could. Curtains and that, yes.
So how often did you go to Knoxville?
When we had to get provisions like food, not very often. I would say once a month.
Did you like going to Knoxville?
It was a need more than a pleasure.
Were the people in Knoxville friendly? Because some veterans have told us that the people in Knoxville resented the Oak Ridgers.
We were not in Knoxville that much. We were mostly in Oak Ridge, and everybody was there for the same purpose. We getting the war over, whatever we were doing.
So what did you and your friends do in your spare time for recreation?
On Friday nights, generally, if work permitted, we would meet and socialize and tell jokes about what we're doing in Oak Ridge.
Did you go to any dances or do any sports?
There was no such then, very little, if any. We did go to church on Sunday, and that's about the extent of it.
Do you remember, did you ever go to the chapel on the hill?
Yes, I did,
Can you talk a little bit about what that was like?
except there was a place to go to church.
Was it a nice building inside?
Not especially, but nice enough, yes.
So were you friendly with other people who worked in Oak Ridge? Yeah.
Yes, we were all in it together, and yes.
Were you mostly friendly with other people who worked in mechanical drawing, or did you have friends who worked outside of that too?
We didn't go outside so much, but plenty of people in our department in process engineering that we were friendly with, yes.
Were there a lot of couples who worked in Oak Ridge together like you and your
Not a
husband?
lot. As far as I know, we were the only couple that were able to work together.
Yeah, I've never heard of a couple working in the same department
Right.
before. So did you enjoy working alongside your husband?
We were an employee, same as the rest were, and there was a work to do, and no particular socializing, except we usually had lunch together.
Did you continue to work once you got pregnant?
Yes, up until almost time for the baby to be born, yes.
Did you go back to work after the
No,
baby?
I did not.
So, was it easy to find the stuff that you needed for the baby, like a crib or diapers, or was that difficult because of
That's
the war?
where I was when I heard about the end of the war or the bomb being dropped. I was in Knoxville baby shopping.
Can you talk about how you heard about the bomb being dropped?
Yes. My mother was with me, and we were shopping for the baby, and it was all over the streets of Knoxville. And so we listened closely, and that's what had happened. They dropped the bomb on Hiroshima.
So did you find out then that that's what Oak Ridge had been working on?
Pretty soon, yes, pretty soon, because it was on the news then, because the word was out.
Were you surprised?
Yes, but we knew what we were doing was so very secretive. We were not that surprised, yes. We did not know what we were doing, but to be surprised, no.
What did you think or feel when you found out that the bomb had been dropped on Japan?
All the streets were in uproar because this was the beginning of the end of the war, and everybody was hilariously happy.
Do you remember when VJ Day happened, when Japan surrendered? Was there a similar outpouring on the streets?
I remember, but I can't say anything specific because I was a new mother then and I was not out on the streets.
So had your baby been born already when the bomb was dropped?
No, actually it was before she was born, but she was born very soon after.
So your mother was able to come and visit you when you were pregnant?
Yes, not really in Oak Ridge, but we did visit because we would go into Knoxville.
So your mother was able, she couldn't
She
really
had to
get
get special clearance to come in and visit.
Was that difficult to get?
Yes, and no, it was temporary each time.
Where was she living at the time? Was
Knoxville.
she in, oh, so she was in Knoxville. Had she moved up there when you moved to Oak Ridge, or was that?
My father also worked in Oak Ridge, but not as we did. He was there for construction and some after, but not on an ongoing basis as we were.
So was he also involved then in the Manhattan Project construction?
Construction, but that's all.
That's it. How did he get that job?
I don't know.
So that was nice then to have your parents close by.
Yes.
Was your mother able to help when the baby was born then?
No. Oak Ridge was separate from the outside, and it was a military type hospital. And the care was not what you would want, but it's what you got, and we're glad to get that.
What role did patriotism and wanting to win the war as quickly as possible play in motivating you and your colleagues?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Wanting to win the war quickly, was that something that you thought about a lot, even without knowing what you were working on?
Sure, we were very anxious for the war to be over, and we did what we were asked to do as far as work was concerned.
Did you have any contact with General Groves while you were in Oak Ridge?
I met General Groves, but I did not socialize with General Groves, but he commanded that we not joke anymore about what we're doing in Oak Ridge, and that was very evident.
When did you meet him?
I can't give you the date. It was in Oak Ridge.
What was the circumstance? Was he in the factory?
He was into our department occasional. I would say more than once, 2 or 3 times, but everybody was in there to get the job done, so.
Did you know he was the head of the project?
No, I did not know. I knew he was very instrumental in the, setting it, but I did not know the extent, no.
Do you remember anything particular about him? I mean, he was
No,
a big
you
man.
did not
so
know him that personally.
he was a pretty big man, so he stood out. Do you remember that?
Yes, I would say larger than average, yes.
Did you ever meet any of the other top scientists or personnel?
They would come into our office, but we had a job to do and we were not there to socialize.
Were there any?
If it was necessary, absolutely, to answer questions.
So the name of your office, you said, was the Process Improvement Section?
Yes,
So-
engineering.
So you were trying to help. Can you just explain it a little bit more?
When they had a need in manufacturing, uranium in particular, and something would work better, they came to us to develop that item, whatever it happened to be, and we would draw it up, and it was made in the manufacturing.
And you said that this was where the original Oak Ridge Boys Quartet was formed?
The mechanical side was next door to us, manufacturing, and at noontime, the original Oak Ridge boys would practice next door. And of course, we would take our sandwiches and go outside and our hot coffee or whatever and listen to them every chance we got. Yes, the original Oak Ridge Quartet.
So that must have been a nice little
It
break.
was very nice, very nice.
And you said that you had a small vegetable garden at
Yes.
your house?
What we called a victory garden, and it produced, almost would pop out of the ground before you got the seeds covered. It was that fertile. And we had a very nice, and shared with neighbors, our vegetables.
So you were able to have a lot of fresh vegetables
Yes,
that way.
very nice.
Um,
Also, We went out of the area to get beef because that was rationed. Sugar was rationed, gasoline, anything. And so we had to go off of the area to get our meats.
So that's when you'd go to Knoxville.
Between our house and Knoxville, yes, in the country. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about how you feel about your role in working on the Manhattan Project?
I'm very thankful for having worked there because it ended the war so much sooner, and the threat would have been ours had we not come up with the bomb as soon as we did.
And did your husband feel the same way?
Yes, yes, we were very thankful for having worked in Oak Ridge.
So after the war was over, what did you and your husband do? Did you stay in Oak Ridge?
We stayed for a while and continued to work, but we wanted to come home, and so in the spring we came home.
To Florida?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we were both from Florida.
So did your work on the Manhattan Project continue to affect your life after it was over?
We worked there after the bomb was dropped, after the war was over, yes, for a while.
Did your but in terms of your career and your husband's career, did it affect what you ended up doing?
He remained a civil engineer for the rest of his life.
That's great.
A professional engineer with discipline in civil, yes.